They say, some buildings remember those who pass through them. The Stanley Hotel is surely one of those buildings. Its halls hold laughter, whispers, and a kind of silence that presses against your throat. The story you're about to hear begins with a room number, and ends in the faint echoes of footsteps running for the stairs. Room 217 is located on the second floor of the Stanley Hotel, and seems ordinary at first glance. Inside, a bed and a dresser both lay dormant, overlooking the trees and parking lot. But this room's reputation soon was to explode, as it lodged itself into writer Stephen King's nightmares, and from which the novel The Shining took its first breath. Stephen King wrote about this particular room, helping entertain its background, yet the room's history was already at that point much bigger than any story King could write. For decades, guests and staff had talked about cold spots and odd, audible footsteps inside empty corridors. Objects seemed to move from place to place, and people woke to find faces in windows. These stories of small terrors, mixed with the imaginations at large, created an atmosphere, or rather a presence, you could sense without naming. The Stanley's history had become part of its attraction, as tour times, ghost stories, and requests to approach the East Wing became a functional part of the hotel's operation. Years after The Shining's publication, and after the hotel had become a site for fans of the paranormal, a famous actor decided he wanted to experience the proclaimed atmosphere for himself. For those who are not familiar, Jim Carrey is an established Hollywood figure, a man whose career had been built on bending reality into ridiculous, yet brilliant contortions. He was not, by most accounts, the kind of person who haunted the shadows, but rather one who used laughter to shine a light on those stuck within it. When he arrived, Carrey was assigned the room he requested, room 217. His original plan was to utilize the Stanley Hotel while filming Dumb and Dumber. Not only was the opportunity thrilling to stay in such a regarded place, but the production team would actually be using the location for filming at certain points. For example, the hotel you currently see in this scene on screen is indeed the Stanley Hotel. Staff warned him with a smile, as they did many guests, about the infamous folklore locked within, and cautioned him about what could be ahead. Carrey accepted his key, took the elevator up, and stepped into the same space that had unsettled many before him. For a while, nothing happened. He unpacked, placed his belongings on the dresser, and sat on the edge of the bed. It is said that the room had a way of making minutes loom larger, as its interior was always stained with light, cracking along the wallpaper. Not to mention, the layout being tainted by a hum from the heating system. Jim Carrey, a man whose public persona was elastic and fearless, felt the room folding around him in a way that felt less like atmosphere, and more like attention. 3 hours later, his belongings were packed, and he had checked out. Accounts say, he left in the middle of the night without an explanation. Some say he fled in a panic, spooked by whatever it was that he had experienced. Maybe he witnessed paranormal activity, and felt like the safest option was to leave. Others say he simply checked out early, as the room was not up to date with modern appliances, as well as some reviews stating the hotel service was poor. The theories vary with the teller, but there is one aspect that is the same. There was something in room 217 that changed the tenor of his stay, and sent him to a Holiday Inn for the remainder of his filming on Dumb and Dumber. To this day, not one journalist has managed to extract the details on his stay that evening. Rumor has it, he shuts down any questions that pertain to those events. The Stanley staff recollections paint a picture that's both precise and suggestive. Housekeepers describe a chill that settles across the mattress, even on warm days. Front desk clerks speak of guests who knock on the door before entering, as if asking permission. Maintenance staff roll their eyes and organize replacement parts. But they too have stories of lights that blink for no reason, and clocks that stop at odd hours. These small disturbances add up into one big reputation, and Carrey's encounter had become yet another filament in this weave of horrors. For some, it was proof that room 217 did not distinguish between the famous and the normal. Proof that fame would not offer any form of protection. For others, the story was confirmation that human expectation, alongside story making, could create real sensations. It is said, an idea is the most contagious thing. When a person shows up to a room, already cadenced by rumor, their own expectations could indeed tilt their perception. In a place like the Stanley Hotel, imagination became a tool. One that could cut as readily as it could comfort. However, there are accounts that resist simplistic explanation. Though, most of the accounts are primarily shared through written articles, blogs, or general discussions about the hotel's hauntings. For example, a former front desk manager named Amy described witnessing lights that oscillated between warm and cold, without any electrical cause. Another claim was that a guest staying at the hotel swore that the TV in their room turned onto a channel that did not yet exist. Lastly, a former bellman named Paul claimed he once found a cup of coffee, still warm in the hallway. It was particularly strange, as there was nobody around, nor any logical explanation for it. Each isolated case is easy to dismiss individually, but together, they build a structure of curiosity that draws people back, hoping to find the reason. Most theorize that these paranormal incidences are attributed to the playful spirit of Elizabeth Wilson. She was the hotel's former head housekeeper and is one of the most famous ghosts at the Stanley Hotel. She was also known for surviving the 1911 gas explosion. The Stanley Hotel walls have absorbed the soundtracks of generations. Pianists in the parlor, conversations that stopped mid-sentence, footsteps on wood floors at dawn, and the clinking of the late-night drinks. Rooms over time leach the impressions of those who sleep in them, specifically when those impressions are charged with emotion. Stephen King's Stay turned the Stanley Hotel from a local landmark into something mythic. The book became a lens, one through which many visitors viewed the hotel, and one that inspired Jim Carrey to come see for himself. That change in perception was its own kind of haunting. People came to the Stanley, bringing with them the book's images. This was an arsenal of expectation that sharpened every shadow. Jim Carrey's career has been a study in metamorphosis. He has played characters who contort physically and emotionally, ones who are forced to reassemble themselves, revealing dark edges and the soft spots. The notion that a man, who can literally become anything for a role, could be unnerved by a room, is in itself oddly unsettling. He was not looking for a fright that night, nor had he come to test the house. He was simply a guest, who found that the room demanded more from him than he anticipated. The Stanley's staff understands both sides, but lean towards accommodating those who choose to believe. They keep the lights turned on in certain halls, for guests who prefer the comfort of brightness. They also do this for certain vacant rooms, done so with the intention of appeasing the paranormal entities. The mythology gets reinforced by each retelling, and yet it persists because the experience keeps arriving, apparently uninvited. Though, most of the professional paranormal investigators, like the Ghost Adventures crew, prefer testing locations with equipment that aid in the discovery, using scientific facts and exclusively built technology. These find anomalies, such as cold drafts with no source, irregular pockets of stagnant air, finite electrical glitches and spikes, and observations that would typically be invisible to the naked eye. When a person arrives at the Stanley expecting nothing, their experience is nothing short of something. To this day, Jim Carrey refuses to talk about his night there, nor will he step foot back in the hotel. We still don't know exactly what happened while he was residing in room 217. From the outside looking in, the rumored events line up with the tale portrayed by Stephen King. If this case left you haunted, hit that like and subscribe button. Now we open the discussion to you all. What do you think happened? Would you stay in the Stanley Hotel? Let us know below in the comments section. Until the next Marked Manor case, keep your lights on and your secrets buried.